All right, everybody, we're about to hear from a brand new sponsor here on All Things MSP, Griffin IT. So today I have with me Matthew from Griffin IT, who's going to kind of talk about his background and then talk a little bit more about Griffin IT. And then I've got some questions for him.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, my name is Matthew Dwyer, and I'm with Griffin IT. We're an IT hardware vendor, and we're specifically for MSPs, ISPs, IT departments, IT solutions companies. And it's specifically hardware. We don't really deal in software or anything like that, just the gear itself.
Right. So you're trying to kind of offer that almost hardware as a service type of thing where it's not really, I shouldn't call it hardware as a service because that's not it. But you're trying to take the headaches of hardware delivery and provisioning kind of off of the MSP's plate.
Correct. Yeah, and we've actually. It's funny you say that. We've had a couple of our MSPs suggest hardware as a service. The problem with that is it takes a really good amount of capital in order to support that. We may eventually get to the point where we can do that, but as of right now, the consignment services that we provide are act as kind of like a semi service to that point.
Okay. And then, you guys do new as well as refurbished, but you do a lot of refurbished. So why is refurbished so important? Why is it key to kind of the business model and how does it help MSPs?
So refurbished, really, what it does is it provides a lower cost option for the clients. You're gonna have your mom and pop shops that you're supporting that they just don't have the capital, the amount of money to put, you know, to buy a lot of new product. Where you've got like a laptop that costs $1,500 to $2,000, whereas something that's anywhere from $400 to $800 laptop is a much more affordable option. And so we've built a program in order to support that and act as just like an OEM would, but with refurbished.
Okay. And so what type of equipment does that include?
Okay, so that includes, as of right now, it's laptops, it's PCs, it's networking equipment, and it's servers. And when it comes to the networking equipment and servers, or networking equipment specifically, it's a little bit more tricky because we can warranty the laptops and the PCs, no problem. That's something we do in house in our warehouses. We also have the networking equipment. Networking equipment can get a little bit tricky because, and I'm actually the networking guy. So like today, I actually have to go into our warehouse because I've got a couple Cisco switches I got to put together, and I've got to upload the iOS into them and do all this, test all the ports and everything. But where it gets tricky is the licensing, right? So we're hardware agnostic. And so we support the hardware, but not necessarily always the licensing.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, I've heard of you guys and I've seen you guys on social media, and you have this term that frequently comes up called a puppy. What is that?
Right. So that's an old sales adage. And the adage is, how do you sell a puppy? So you give it to, and there's the mowers out there. Sorry about that. The adage is how do you sell a puppy? You give it to a family for 2 weeks, and then you come back after 2 weeks and say, do you want to keep the puppy or do you want to pay for it? And more than likely they're going to want to pay for it because they love the puppy, right? So the idea is the consignment. So letting our clients, letting our MSPs take the equipment for we do net 90, so we actually do 90 days. So it's not just 2 weeks. Let them bring it in, let them actually shelve it for a myriad of reasons. So, and I think that probably the biggest ones for our 1 to 10 man MSPs is they get to actually they get to keep a closer eye on their cash flow. It helps them, sell the device, get it out there, get it deployed, make sure they get the cash from their customer before they have to actually pay us as the distributor. And that helps a lot, especially when you're a smaller outfit. And most of our, I'd say, probably 70-80% of our client base is going to be your 1 to 10 man MSP. But we do support some of the larger guys as well. So, but they love that, and they love it for more than just the cash flow. I mean, one of the things we use, one of the terms we use a lot is advanced replacement. And what that means is, hey, bring that one laptop or PC, put it on, get it ready for your client, but bring another one in and put it on your shelf just in case, maybe in those 90 days there's an emergency and your client has a laptop that goes down out in the field and you have a hot swappable item right there. And it makes you, the MSP, look like a hero if you can solve that in a day as opposed to, 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, and there's always a chance, even though I'm sure you guys have a very thorough testing procedure for your refurbished equipment, there's always that chance that you're going to have an early on failure. Actually,
Right.
less so with refurbished, which is why I kind of like refurbished myself because it's already been through that 90-day or whatever break-in period, right? But this does give the MSP the option of having that one in reserve. So if something happens, they can jump right on it and be able to replace it quickly rather than have to wait for a replacement.
Correct. Yeah. And there's other reasons too that, like, I have some of my local guys. So we're here in Tampa, Florida. I've got a guy here that what he loves to do is he likes to take his one of the ones that's sitting on his shelf. He'll go to a sales call. He'll go to a prospective client. He'll bring it with him, bring a device with him. He goes and sells his service, and then he, at the very end of it, he's, well, I have hardware as well, right? So it's another line item
Right.
to add into your arsenal as an MSP. Yep.
Yep. And it's one less place where a competitor can stick their foot in the door of that client.
Right. Right.
So
Yep.
a lot of those are great reasons for why an MSP should work with you guys. But what are some of the other things that make you different from the typical hardware distributor?
The one that I like to point out the most is the RMA process. So obviously, it happens. It happens with new equipment. It happens all the time. One of the ways that we handle our RMAs is by not wasting your time. We are not going to make you call us and sit on the phone for 2 hours, trying to resolve some minute issue. We're not going to make you wait a week to send a field tech out on site. We're just going to, if the issue takes more than 15 minutes, we're just going to swap the unit out. That's it. And that's where the advanced replacement comes in. Because if you've got one on the shelf and there is an issue with one of ours or somebody, another OEMs or another distributors, you can just swap it right out right there, take care of the issue, come back to me as the rep. Hey, Matt, your device had an issue, but we went ahead and swapped it out. And so let's take care of this one. You've wasted no time at all.
Awesome. So the other thing that I know MSPs like a lot is they like self-serve because frequently during the day they're putting out fires and at night they're finally sitting down and doing quotes and ordering hardware and all that kind of stuff. So do you guys have like some kind of self-serve portal that they can log into and actually order these things without having to go through a salesperson?
Yes, we do. So we have an online portal, and it's definitely something still a bit in the works. You know how those kind of things go. We always tell all of our guys when we give them a walkthrough in our portal is if you ever feel like a beta tester, it's because you are. We have a new iteration coming out pretty soon that's going to make it really nice. But yeah, so the portal itself, and I'll just read it out. It's shop.griffin-it.com. And what you can do as an MSP or IT department, whatever, you can register there. And when you register, what's going to happen is we're actually going to contact you first before we allow you in. And I know that sounds a little strange. You would think that we would just want to let everybody in, but we actually don't. We are not like a lot of the OEMs. We actually don't want your end users' information. Now, you're going to be able to do that if you want to have something shipped directly to an end user, but we don't want to deal with them. That's your job. We're not trying to take your job away as a hardware company. So, you're the one, your boots on the ground doing the hard work. So, you know, we what we do is we vet anybody that's going to come into the portal as an MSP first. And so that's why we do the registration. We usually do a 15 to 30 minute call to walk you through it, to show you around, show you how to use the consignment process, and then take it from there.
Awesome. Now, one of the things that obviously, because these guys are putting out fires all day, like I mentioned, or a lot of times they
Right.
are, timing becomes an issue. And so, what do your fulfillment times look like?
Okay, so usually, and that's where the advanced replacement part is really, that's key, right? If you can just have that device there, then you don't even have to worry about the fulfillment process. That's something that just naturally takes care of itself. But typically, it's only a 1 to 2 day. We usually get orders out over the course of 1 or 2 days. Typically, ground shipping. We do provide. Uh, expedited services. Usually, there's cost associated with that, but yeah, it's usually only a 1 to 2 day thing.
Okay. And, you've talked a lot about advanced replacement, consignment, those kinds of things. Obviously, you're extending credit to these partners to be able to do that. What kind of process do they need to go through, or what do they do to get that credit or get more credit if they need more product on the shelf?
So we kind of treat this, kind of like your credit score, right? Your personal credit score. The more you use us, the more credit you're going to get, right? One thing we do tell everybody is, look, we don't expect, we're not going to be your hardware solution for absolutely everything. We don't want 100% of your business. We know that's not going to happen. You're going to have clients that want brand new all the time that we might not have. We want to be, 20 to 30% of your business. But, the more you use us, the more we're going to give you credit. So usually we start everybody out with about $2,000 in credit, and that's for a couple of devices. But we have some guys that are as high as $20,000 to $30,000 in credit. So it just kind of depends on usage, kind of like a credit card, right?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. Now, I have seen pictures of your guys' warehouse and it's pretty impressive, but I have to ask, what's with the graffiti?
Okay, so that's a funny story. When we first got started, and this is actually when I first got hired on, we moved into this building in Ybor, which is a part of downtown Tampa, essentially. And we moved when we moved into the building. It was, and I don't know if you remember the Blair Witch Project.
Hmm.
It was the production company for that movie, and they had on the outside of this building, they spray painted like this, really, it was really well done, but it was like the monster from It. And then when you walk in the building, the entire room was covered with graffiti, but it was all really well done, and it was all 80s characters. It was Little Shop of Horrors and Howard the Duck and Gremlins, and we really liked it. And so as we expanded, we moved into a different room in that same warehouse, and we thought, oh, we like this theme, so let's keep it up. So what we did was we got in touch with the original artists, and we sat him down, and the owner, James Griffin, did, and he basically was like, hey, how much is it going to cost for us to, paint what we want? It was $10,000 or something crazy like that. We're like, oh, no, we're not going to do that. But how about we just buy the paint for you guys and then just let you paint whatever you want? And so they agreed to it, and they painted this whole room. It used to be my networking room. We got like a 23-foot tall demon chick, and we got Lilu from The Fifth Element, and we got some really neat stuff in there. Eventually, we had to move out to a different warehouse just because of a co-tenant issue, and we just kept the theme up. We did the same thing, brought the guys back in, paid for the paint. They spent a whole weekend, and so yeah, it's just it's a nice company culture thing, and it's really cool to be able to come into a warehouse and have that around instead of just your mundane everyday just office lights and kind of boring setting. So yeah,
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
what that is.
Also, it's so great to hear about companies that have, I guess, for lack of a better word, I would call it a personality. And that's kind of what I've seen in your guys' social media posts and stuff. And so we're very happy to have you as a new sponsor here on All Things MSP. If people want to find out more about Griffin IT or get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Okay, so you could go to obviously our website, which is it's just griffin-it.com. Again, the portal is shop.griffin-it.com. My email is Matt with two T's at Griffin, and Griffin is GRIFFIN dash IT.com. And yeah, my phone number is 813-592-3555. And I know we've got, and this is something I really got to get better at. We have Instagram presence. We're on Facebook. We're on all the social medias. So you'd probably just have to look up Griffin IT and you'd find us.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thanks, Matt, for providing that introduction to Griffin IT. I know we're going to be doing some more stuff as a sponsor, over the next couple of weeks. So people will get, to see what you do and how you do it a little bit more. And we'll be doing an office hours with James coming up here pretty shortly as well. So thanks again for joining me today. And we'll see you around the group.
All right, on. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it.
Thank you.